My dream trip turned into a nightmare when I was kidnapped, drugged, and forced into servitude as a maid for a wealthy, sinister man in Thailand. This isn't just a story, it's a testament to survival and a terrifying glimpse into a world I never knew existed. It all started 7 years ago, during my solo backpacking journey across Asia. Bangkok was my second-to-last stop, a vibrant, chaotic city, full of life. One evening, amidst the bustling street markets, an incredibly attractive European man approached me. His charm was intoxicating, and foolishly, I said yes when he asked me out to dinner. That night, he completely swept me off my feet. He told me he lived in the US, not far from my own hometown, just like me, and was also just vacationing there. After a delicious dinner, he took me to the city's most exclusive club, and as the night drew to a close, he hailed a taxi for us. It was in that taxi, as we drove through the neon-lit streets, that he offered me a bottle of water. I drank it without a second thought. And then my world went black. I woke up disoriented, my head throbbing, in a windowless room. The air was heavy still. A basement, I instantly thought, a cold dread settling deep in my bones. There was no one there. Panic surged through me. I screamed, my voice raw, ragged. I pounded on the walls until my knuckles ached, tears streaming down my face, begging for help that never came. Eventually, the door creaked open. An imposing, tall, and slim man, not the charmer from the night before, stepped in. He brought me food and water, silently placing them down. "Where is he?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "The man I had dinner with." He didn't say a word, just stared at me with an unreadable expression, and then left, plunging me back into suffocating silence. I ate the rice and meat, not because I wanted to, but because a primal instinct told me I had no idea when my next meal would be. Hours crawled by. The silence shattered once more as more men entered. They kept their distance at first, inspecting me like an object, then slowly, terrifyingly, they inched closer. I couldn't fight. I was paralyzed by sheer terror. They checked my teeth, shined a blinding flashlight directly into my eyes, and then, the most horrific part, they began to search me. Thoroughly. Every inch. Not a single word was exchanged directly with me, but I heard them, their voices low, guttural, speaking in a language I didn't understand. Thai, I assumed. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, they left me alone again. The day after that inspection was brutal. I sat huddled on the cold, concrete floor, hugging my knees, my mind a swirling vortex of questions with no answers. Would I die here? Would anyone ever know what happened to me? Could I at least say goodbye? Was I being held hostage? I had no idea. No one came near me for an entire day, which should have been a relief, but it only amplified my terrifying isolation. The silence became deafening, an oppressive weight that stole my breath. As the hours bled into days, I racked my brain, desperately trying to recall any small detail, any flicker of a face or voice that might explain why I was here. But it was all a blur. My sense of time completely evaporated. Day? Night? It didn't matter. The only constants were the sporadic deliveries of food and water, each one a stark reminder of my captivity. The room was vast, bare, lit by a single, weak bulb on the ceiling, barely chasing away the encroaching shadows. I was losing my mind. Every flicker in my periphery, every shift of shadow, I thought I saw people. I started to hallucinate. At what I assumed was night, I'd drift into dreams of home, of my family, only to wake with a jolt back into this waking nightmare. Most of the time, I just cried. I blamed myself. I regretted meeting him, felt stupid for being so naive, so trusting. It was all my fault, wasn't it? Then, one day, the slim man returned, but this time, he carried no food, only a single glass of water. I took it, my throat parched. A few hours later, a familiar wooziness crept over me, and I fell into a deep, unconscious sleep. I don't know how long I was out, but when I finally surfaced, it was in a completely new world. I lay on a bed of cool, luxurious silk sheets, in a sprawling room with towering ceilings and walls adorned with exquisite, classic art. A grand fireplace dominated one side, and in a plush chair by its warmth sat a man. He was watching me. My scream ripped through the sudden quiet. I scrambled from the bed, adrenaline coursing through me, and lunged for the door, but it was locked. Trapped. I frantically searched for another exit, banging on the walls, yelling for help. But the man in the chair just observed me, a strange, placid look on his face. "Let me go," I shrieked, tears blurring my vision. "People know I'm here. They'll call the police." My stomach churned. I felt sick, the crushing realization hitting me like a physical blow. I was utterly, completely stuck. He rose, approaching me, trying to console me with a soft touch. I recoiled, wriggling out of his grasp, moving away as fast as I could. Then, in heavily accented, broken English, he finally spoke. He told me he had purchased me. I was to be his maid. I could have anything from the kitchen, he said, and would join the other girls later. I'd have my own room, and my duties would be to cook and clean for him. He had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for me. This man, with his opulent home and undeniable wealth, was clearly a figure of immense power in Thailand. There were 5 other girls, all serving him. For days, then weeks, I watched them, trying to decipher their expressions. They were either the best actresses in the world, or they were completely brainwashed into loving him, grateful for their gilded cage. Their movements were precise, graceful, almost mechanical. Their smiles seemed rehearsed, and their eyes were empty. When we were alone in our rooms, I'd try to speak to them, to find cracks in their facade, to see if they were truly content. But each one insisted they were happy, grateful that this man had taken them in. I knew deep down that wasn't the full truth. So I made a choice. I decided to conform, to obey. Because truly, a chilling fear gnawed at me, a fear of what would happen if I didn't. By the way, if you're still with me on this unbelievable journey, and I truly hope you are, please hit that subscribe button. More raw, honest stories like this are coming, and your support means the world. As the days bled into weeks, and weeks into months, the man began to single me out. He'd call me to his room more often, preferring me to wash his clothes, to serve his dinner. I wasn't sure why, but he found more and more reasons to have me near. I suspected he thought I was prettier than the others, a twisted compliment that filled me with revulsion. One night, he summoned me to his magnificent library. He told me to dust the antique bookshelves, and I complied, every movement measured, careful. I felt his gaze on me, a heavy weight. I glanced over, catching him nod, a slight smile playing on his lips. He picked a book from a high shelf, asked if I'd read it. When I shook my head, he handed it to me, telling me I should. This was huge. He never allowed the maids to read, watch TV, or even listen to music. Was this a test? I took the book, my mind racing. Soon, I was given even more privileged tasks. He granted me access to his private study, a sacred room no other maid was permitted to enter. It became clear. He trusted me. After a full year as his maid, I had become his undeniable favorite. He called on me for almost everything, granting me special privileges that the other maids could only dream of. I heard their whispers, their jealous resentments, their hushed conversations behind my back. They had no idea about the trick I had up my sleeve. One evening, as I meticulously cleaned his private study, my eyes caught something tucked deep inside a desk drawer. A cell phone. My breath hitched. Was this another test? My heart hammered against my ribs. I hesitated, glancing over my shoulder, but the room was empty. For the first night, I left it, memorizing its exact location. The next few days, as I cleaned, I'd subtly check, still there, 2 drawers down, on the left side of the desk. On the 5th day, I couldn't resist. My fingers trembled as I pulled open the drawer. No passcode. A jolt of electric hope surged through me. I desperately tried to contact anyone in the US, praying my message would reach them. The signal was agonizingly weak, just one flickering bar. I moved around the vast room, phone in hand, searching for a stronger connection. Nothing. In a desperate, adrenaline-fueled move, I climbed onto the desk, hoping to catch a better signal. My hands, still shaking, scrolled through the contacts. Finally, a spot where the signal held steady. I dialed, each digit a monumental effort. The ringing stretched into an eternity. I was sure no one would answer. And then a voice. "Hello." Relief, so profound it made my muscles ache, washed over me. "Can you hear me?" I whispered, barely able to form the words. I told them everything. About the charming man, a year ago, the weeks in that horrifying basement, and now, trapped in this opulent mansion in Thailand. I begged them, pleaded for help. They needed my exact location. All I could give them was a large mansion, owned by what I assume is a government official. My mind raced. "Can you track this phone call?" I implored. "Please, please find me." They promised to do everything they could. I thanked them, over and over, then quickly warned them, "Don't call this number again." Just then, I heard footsteps approaching the study door. Panic seized me. I slammed the phone shut, shoved it back into its hidden drawer, and resumed my dusting, my heart roaring in my chest. The door creaked open. The man stepped in, looking at me, a smile playing on his lips. I forced a calm smile back, praying, absolutely praying he hadn't noticed anything. The morning after that secret phone call was shrouded in an eerie quiet. The mansion, usually bustling with a soft hum of activity, felt suffocatingly silent. I hadn't slept a wink, every creak, every distant noise making me jump, my nerves frayed. But as the first rays of dawn painted the sky, I knew I had to face the day. All day, as I moved through the house, cleaning, serving, a chilling sensation crept over me. He was watching. He'd smiled at me the day before, right after I'd hidden the phone. Did he know? My heart pounded, but I forced myself to act normal, to blend in. I couldn't relax. The uncertainty was a torment. Would the police come? Would he find out I called for help? Days stretched into agonizing weeks. Each hour felt like an eternity. I kept up the charade, my movements precise, my face a mask of subservience. I cleaned, I cooked, I served, making sure everything was perfect, that no one, not the man, not the other maids, suspected a thing. They were like robots, too, going through their motions, rarely speaking. Every chance I got, I'd sneak back to the study, my fingers fumbling for the phone. The signal remained stubbornly weak, just that tiny, flickering bar. I'd send out quick, cryptic texts, just enough to let them know I was still alive, still inside, giving subtle hints about my location within the vast house. Then, hide the phone again. I had to maintain the illusion of calm. When the man looked at me, a little too closely sometimes, making my skin crawl, or when I spoke to the other maids, I kept my voice steady, my eyes neutral, hiding the raw fear that gnawed at my insides. I focused on the minutiae, aligning the forks, polishing the silverware, keeping my head down, praying he wouldn't see the terror just beneath the surface. Finally, the day I had clung to, the day I had dreamed of, arrived. A cacophony of sirens pierced the silence. Flashing lights painted the front gates of the mansion. From a hidden window, I watched as official vehicles poured in. Not just regular police, but agents, the kind you only see in movies, representatives from the U.S. Embassy. They walked right up to the man who had held us captive. He was furious, his arms waving wildly, his voice booming as he argued with the officers. He actually seemed to believe he had done nothing wrong, that he was simply employing us, paying us. As the commotion unfolded, one of the agents quietly approached me, catching my eye. He gave a subtle nod. It was time. My heart hammered, a frantic drum against my ribs, as they gently led me away from that gilded cage. We walked past the man, still raging, still arguing with the agents. The look of utter betrayal on his face as he saw me, escorted by authorities, is burned into my memory. We went straight to the airport. I was on a plane back to the U.S. that very night. Sitting in that plane seat, thousands of feet above the clouds, I kept replaying the scene. The man, still arguing, still clinging to his delusion of innocence. When the wheels finally touched down on American soil, a wave of profound, soul-deep relief washed over me. More agents met me, assuring me I'd be taken to a safe place, where I could finally rest and process everything in my own time. Walking through that airport, I felt safe, yes, but a gnawing worry for the other maids, still trapped behind those opulent walls, lingered in my heart. Getting back to a semblance of normal life from that point on was incredibly difficult. I fought hard to keep my story out of the news, to reclaim my privacy, and I succeeded. Reuniting with my family was surreal, a homecoming I had feared might never come. Every single day now feels like a precious, fragile gift. But I still wonder what happened to the others. So, I have to ask you, if you were in my shoes, trapped, terrified, with one single, fragile chance to call for help, what would you have done? And knowing what I know now, how would you have handled the other maids? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I truly want to hear what you think.